There are times in life when the best thing you can do is stay silent and let them wonder. People will criticize, they'll misunderstand you, they'll try to pull you into unnecessary battles, but not every fight is worth fighting. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom, it's strength. Sometimes the greatest response is no response at all. So often in life, we feel the need to respond to every accusation, every misunderstanding, and every negative word spoken about us. We think that if we stay silent, people will assume we're guilty, that we're weak, or that we have something to hide. But the truth is, silence is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. It takes far more strength to remain quiet in the face of criticism than it does to argue and defend yourself. Anyone can react, but it takes a person of great character to restrain their words and trust that truth will reveal itself in time. When you understand that silence is power, you stop feeling the need to explain yourself to everyone. People will always have opinions. Some will misunderstand you on purpose. Others will twist your words to fit their own narrative. No matter how much you try to set the record straight, some people are determined to believe what they want to believe. Instead of getting caught up in the endless cycle of defending yourself, step back and let your actions do the talking. Eventually, the truth always rises to the surface, and those who doubted you will see it for themselves. Think about how much energy is wasted on arguments that don't even matter in the long run. Have you ever looked back at a disagreement and realized that no matter how much you explained, the other person never really listened? That's because some people don't want clarity, they want control. They want to pull you into their drama, get a reaction out of you, and distract you from what really matters. When you learn the power of silence, you refuse to be manipulated by negativity. You take control of your emotions instead of letting outside voices control you. Even in personal relationships, silence is often the wisest choice. In moments of anger or frustration, it's easy to say something you'll regret later. But when you choose to stay silent, you give yourself time to think, to pray, and to respond with wisdom instead of reacting in emotion. The book of Proverbs says, even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. That means that sometimes silence can protect you from saying something that could damage a relationship, hurt your credibility, or make a situation worse. History is full of great leaders who understood the power of silence. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't respond to every critic. He didn't get distracted by the voices of doubt and opposition. Instead, he stayed focused on his mission. And today, his legacy speaks louder than any of his critics ever could. Even Jesus, when he was falsely accused, remained silent before his accusers. He didn't waste time defending himself to people who were never going to believe the truth. He knew that God was his defender, and in the end, truth always prevails. There will always be moments when you feel like speaking up, proving your point, or making sure people know your side of the story. But before you do, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Will my words actually change their minds, or am I just feeding into unnecessary drama? If the answer is no, then silence is the strongest move you can make. People may assume what they want, but that's not your problem. What matters is that you stay true to who you are and let your life, not your words, prove them wrong. Remember, the greatest victories often come in silence. When you refuse to be distracted by negativity, when you rise above the noise and keep walking in your purpose, you show the world that your strength is not in how loudly you can argue, but in how confidently you can stand. Silence is not weakness. It is wisdom, it is power, and it is the mark of a person who knows their worth. It's easy to talk about what we're going to do. It's easy to make promises, set goals, and declare our intentions. But at the end of the day, it's not our words that define us. It's our actions. People may listen to what you say, but they will believe what you do. Your consistency, your integrity, and your perseverance will always speak louder than any speech you could ever give. Have you ever met someone who talks a big game but never follows through? They say they're going to change, but their actions remain the same. They say they have faith, but when challenges come, they shrink back in fear. They talk about their dreams, but they never take the steps to make them happen. Words without action are empty. But when you live in a way that reflects your values, when you take steps toward your destiny, when you let your work speak for itself, that's when people truly take notice. Even in moments of doubt and criticism, your actions will be your greatest defense. You don't have to argue with people who don't believe in you. You don't have to convince them that you're capable. Just keep moving forward. Keep showing up. Keep doing what you were called to do. Over time, your success will silence every critic, and your results will prove what words never could. Think about Joseph in the Bible. His own brothers betrayed him. He was falsely accused, thrown into prison, and forgotten. But instead of trying to explain himself or convince people of his innocence, Joseph let his actions speak. He stayed faithful. He worked with excellence, no matter where he was placed. And in the end, God elevated him from the prison to the palace. He didn't have to chase after approval. His integrity and diligence made room for him. The same is true for you. You don't have to prove yourself to everyone who doubts you. You don't have to respond to every critic. Just stay focused. Keep doing what's right and let your actions build the legacy that words never could. Over time, people won't remember what you said. They'll remember what you did. They'll remember how you treated them, how you persevered, how you kept showing up even when no one believed in you. So the next time you feel the need to explain yourself, stop and ask, would my time be better spent proving something or improving something? Instead of talking about what you're going to do, start doing it. Instead of defending yourself, let your results speak for themselves. Actions don't just speak louder than words. They leave a lasting impact that words alone never could. Your destiny isn't built by what you say, it's built by what you do. Keep working, keep believing, and keep walking in faith. In the end, the life you live will be the loudest message you ever preach. Life is full of battles, some worth fighting and some that are simply distractions. If you try to engage in every argument, respond to every critic, and prove yourself to everyone, you'll waste time, energy, and peace that could have been used for something greater. True strength isn't found in fighting every battle that comes your way. It's found in knowing which battles are worth your effort and which ones you should walk away from. Some people will never understand you, no matter how much you explain. Some arguments will never be resolved, no matter how much you try to prove your point. And some conflicts are designed only to steal your peace, slow you down, and keep you from reaching your destiny. You have to ask yourself, is this fight helping me move forward, or is it just a distraction? If it's not leading you toward growth, purpose, or peace, then it's not a battle worth fighting. Jesus himself didn't waste time arguing with people who had already made up their minds. When he was falsely accused, he remained silent. He knew that no matter what he said, some people were determined to misunderstand him. He didn't let their words pull him off course. He stayed focused on his purpose. And because of that, he fulfilled his destiny. If Jesus didn't waste time on meaningless battles, why should you? Think about David when he faced Goliath. Before he ever stepped onto the battlefield, his own brothers questioned him, mocked him, and tried to belittle him. David could have wasted his energy arguing with them, proving that he was capable, but he didn't. He knew they weren't the real battle. Instead, he turned away, focused on what mattered, and went on to defeat the giant. If David had gotten distracted by small battles, he might have missed his moment of victory. In life, people will challenge you, provoke you, and try to pull you into conflicts that are beneath you. But you don't have to show up to every fight you're invited to. Just because someone is trying to stir up drama doesn't mean you have to participate. Some battles are meant to be won through silence, wisdom, and walking away with your peace intact. When you stay focused on your purpose, you learn to choose your battles wisely. You stop wasting energy proving yourself to people who don't matter. You stop defending yourself against false accusations. You stop letting little things steal your joy. Instead, you rise above. Trust God to handle what you can't and move forward with confidence. Remember, not every battle is yours to fight. Some things are best left in God's hands. Some fights are nothing more than distractions from your destiny. The next time you feel tempted to defend yourself, prove a point, or engage in conflict, take a step back and ask yourself, is this worth my peace, my energy, my future? If the answer is no, then let it go. Walk away and keep moving forward. Victory doesn't come from fighting every battle. It comes from fighting the right battles. One of the greatest traps in life is living for the approval of people. It's easy to fall into the mindset of wanting to be liked, wanting to be accepted, and wanting to prove yourself. But the truth is, no matter how much you try, you will never please everyone. Some people will support you, others will doubt you, some will celebrate you, others will criticize you. If your confidence is based on what others think, you'll always be on an emotional roller coaster. Up when they approve, down when they don't. But when you trust God more than human approval, you walk in a peace that no opinion can shake. God didn't create you to fit in. He created you to stand out. He gave you a unique calling, a specific destiny, and a purpose that is bigger than people's opinions. If you live for their approval, you might end up missing what God has for you. There are times when doing what's right will be unpopular. There will be seasons when following God's plan means disappointing people. But when you choose to obey Him rather than chase human validation, you step into the life He designed for you. Jesus Himself never sought the approval of people. He didn't change His message to make others comfortable. He didn't live for applause. In fact, the same crowd that shouted Hosanna one day was shouting, "Crucify Him," the next. That shows you how quickly human opinions can change. If Jesus, perfect, loving, and blameless, was criticized and rejected, why would we expect any different? But He didn't let the opinions of people define His mission, and neither should you. Think about Noah. God told him to build an ark, but it had never rained before. People must have laughed, mocked him, and called him crazy. But Noah didn't let their opinions stop him. He trusted what God had spoken, and because of that, he and his family were saved. If he had waited for human approval, he would have never fulfilled his purpose. The same is true for you. If you're waiting for everyone to understand your vision before you move forward, you'll be waiting forever. People's approval is temporary, but God's favor is eternal. The ones who praise you today might criticize you tomorrow. But when you seek God's will above all else, He opens doors no man can shut. He puts you in positions no human could have placed you in. He blesses you beyond what people think you deserve. That's why it's so important to live for an audience of one. His approval is the only one that truly matters. There will be moments in your life when you have to make a choice. Will I do what pleases people, or will I do what pleases God? The easy path is to go with the crowd, seek validation and compromise to fit in. But the path of purpose requires faith, courage, and trust. It may not always be popular, but it will always be worth it. So stop worrying about who likes you, who supports you, or who understands you. Instead, ask yourself, am I being obedient to God? Am I following His lead? Am I staying true to my purpose? When you trust God more than human approval, you step into the fullness of His plan. And when you walk in His favor, no human opinion can stop what He has destined for you. There's incredible power in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Jesus, the greatest teacher and wisest man to ever walk the earth, understood this better than anyone. He could have debated with his critics. He could have defended himself against false accusations. He could have called down angels to prove who he was, but he didn't. In many moments, instead of responding, he chose silence, not because he was weak, but because he was wise. When Jesus stood before Pilate facing the most unjust trial in history, he remained silent. Pilate himself was amazed that Jesus didn't try to defend himself. Most people, when falsely accused, fight back. They argue, explain, and try to clear their name. But Jesus understood that some battles aren't fought with words. They're won through obedience and trust in God. He knew that his purpose was greater than the accusations against him, so he didn't waste his energy trying to convince people who had already made up their minds. Earlier in his ministry, when the Pharisees and religious leaders constantly questioned him, Jesus often responded with silence or answered with wisdom that left them speechless. He didn't engage in pointless debates. He didn't allow their traps to distract him from his mission. He knew that not every argument needed a response, and not every critic deserved an answer. By staying silent, he showed control, authority, and trust in the Father's plan. This is a lesson for all of us. There will be times when people misunderstand you, question you, or even falsely accuse you. Everything in you will want to explain, prove, and defend yourself. But sometimes the best response is no response at all. When you stay silent in the face of negativity, you show that you are not controlled by what others say. You show that your confidence isn't in human approval, but in God's purpose for your life. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. When you refuse to engage in unnecessary battles, you keep your peace. When you don't waste energy trying to convince those who are determined to doubt you, you stay focused. When you trust that God is your defender, you walk in a strength that doesn't need validation from others. Jesus wasn't silent because he had nothing to say. He was silent because he had nothing to prove. His actions, his miracles, and ultimately his resurrection spoke louder than any words ever could. He knew that time would reveal the truth and that God would have the final say. The same is true for you. You don't have to fight every battle with words. Stay faithful. Stay obedient. Keep walking in your purpose. Let your life, not your lips, prove who you are. So the next time you feel pressure to explain yourself, ask, is this worth my energy? Will this conversation bring peace or just more frustration? Am I trusting God to defend me, or am I trying to handle it on my own? If Jesus, the Son of God, knew when to stay silent, then we too can learn the power of quiet strength. Sometimes silence isn't just the best response, it's the most powerful one. There will always be people who question your ability, doubt your potential, and underestimate what you can do. Some will criticize you out of jealousy. Others will judge you based on your past. Some will simply not believe in you because they can't see what God has placed inside of you. But here's the truth. You don't have to argue with them, prove them wrong with words, or seek their approval. The best way to respond to doubt is with success. Let your results speak for you. When David was about to fight Goliath, even his own family doubted him. His older brother mocked him, questioning his motives and telling him to go back to tending sheep. King Saul told him he was too young, too inexperienced, but David didn't waste time arguing. He didn't try to convince them that he was strong enough, wise enough, or capable enough. Instead, he stepped onto the battlefield and let his victory speak for itself. He didn't fight with words. He fought with action. And when Goliath fell, every doubter had no choice but to see that God was with him. The same applies to your life. People may say you're not qualified, that you don't have what it takes, that your dreams are too big. They may remind you of your past failures or try to discourage you from moving forward. But don't waste your breath trying to convince them otherwise. Instead, stay focused, keep working, and let your success be the proof. Eventually, the very people who doubted you will have to acknowledge what God has done in your life. Think about Joseph. His own brothers mocked his dreams and sold him into slavery. He was falsely accused, thrown into prison, and forgotten. But Joseph didn't let their doubt define him. He remained faithful, continued to walk in excellence, and trusted God's plan. And in the end, he went from the prison to the palace, becoming second in command over Egypt. The same brothers who doubted him had to come before him in need. His success was the ultimate response to their disbelief. The key is not to get distracted by the voices of doubt. If you spend your time trying to explain yourself to everyone who questions you, you'll waste valuable energy that could be used to move forward. Instead of defending yourself, develop yourself. Instead of proving your worth with words, prove it with results. Instead of getting discouraged by negativity, use it as fuel to push you closer to your goals. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. What He has placed inside of you is greater than any doubt that comes against you. Stay faithful, stay focused, and keep pressing forward. One day, the very people who didn't believe in you will have to step back and say, look what the Lord has done. You won't have to say a word. Your success will speak for itself. So the next time someone doubts you, don't get discouraged. Just smile, stay quiet, and keep working. Because in the end, success is the best response to doubt. There's something powerful about staying silent when people expect a reaction. When your critics attack you, when people spread rumors about you, when others try to stir up conflict, they're looking for a response. They want you to get upset, to argue, to defend yourself. But when you choose silence, you take away their power. Nothing confuses your critics more than refusing to engage in their negativity. Jesus showed us this when He stood before Pilate. The religious leaders falsely accused Him, twisted His words, and tried to trap Him. Pilate himself was amazed because Jesus didn't defend Himself. He didn't argue or plead His case. Why? Because He knew that no amount of words would change their minds. He understood that His purpose was greater than their accusations. By staying silent, He showed complete authority, power, and trust in God. When you refuse to respond to negativity, you rise above it. Your critics expect you to fight back, to prove yourself, to explain every little thing. But when you stay quiet and keep moving forward, it throws them off. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't give them the reaction they're looking for. Your silence shows that you are in control, that you are secure, and that you don't need their approval to keep walking in your purpose. Think about Nehemiah when he was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. His enemies tried everything to distract him, They mocked him, criticized him, and even tried to call him down from his work. But Nehemiah didn't stop to argue. He simply said, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. He knew that responding to his critics would only slow him down. He stayed focused, and because of that, he completed what God called him to do. The same applies to you. There will always be people who doubt you, question you, and try to bring you down. But you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to defend yourself to those who are determined to misunderstand you. When you stay silent and let your actions speak, you keep your peace. You keep your joy. And most importantly, you keep moving forward. Your critics want to distract you. They want to pull you into their negativity, because if they can get you focused on them, you'll stop focusing on your purpose. But don't take the bait. Stay silent. Keep working. Let them wonder why you're not reacting. Let them be confused by your peace. Because in the end, your silence will say more than words ever could. So the next time someone tries to stir up conflict, just smile and keep going. Your destiny is too important to waste time explaining yourself to people who will never understand. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And nothing confuses your critics more than a quiet confidence that refuses to be shaken. In life, you will have plenty of opportunities to argue, debate, and prove that you're right. People will challenge your beliefs, question your decisions, and misunderstand your intentions. Your natural instinct may be to explain yourself, to defend your position, to make sure others see things from your perspective. But here's the truth. Peace is more valuable than proving a point. Winning an argument isn't worth losing your peace. Jesus understood this. He had all the wisdom and knowledge in the world. He could have debated the Pharisees into silence, corrected every false accusation, and proven his identity at every turn. But he didn't. He chose peace over unnecessary arguments. He spoke when it mattered, but he also knew when to walk away. He knew that some people weren't interested in the truth. They were just looking for a fight. And he wasn't going to waste his energy trying to convince those who had already made up their minds. How many times have you been pulled into a pointless debate? Maybe someone questioned your faith, doubted your dreams, or criticized your decisions. You wanted to explain, to defend, to prove yourself. But in the end, did it really change anything? Did the other person suddenly see things your way? Most of the time, arguments don't lead to understanding. They just lead to frustration. That's why wisdom teaches us to choose peace over proving a point. Think about Proverbs 17:14. Starting a quarrel is like breaching a dam. So drop the matter before a dispute breaks out. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away. Let them think what they want. Let them have their opinion. You don't have to win every argument to walk in victory. True strength isn't found in proving yourself. It's found in knowing when to stay silent, let things go, and protect your peace. When Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his enemies tried to lure him into a debate. They wanted to distract him, to pull him away from his assignment. But Nehemiah didn't take the bait. He simply said, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. He valued his purpose more than proving a point. He valued his purpose more than proving a point. He knew that engaging in meaningless arguments would only slow him down. The same is true for you. If you spend all your time trying to make others see things your way, you'll never move forward. There will always be people who disagree, who doubt, who challenge you. But your peace is more valuable than their opinion. Don't let their words pull you into a battle that isn't worth fighting. Keep your focus, keep your joy, keep your peace. So the next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, ask, is this really worth my energy? Will winning this argument bring me peace? Or just more frustration? If it's not leading to growth, healing, or purpose, then let it go. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. God is your defender. And when you choose peace over proving a point, you'll walk in a freedom that no argument can take away. Life is filled with noise, opinions, criticism, negativity, and distractions. Everywhere you turn, there's someone offering their thoughts on what you should do, how you should live, and who you should be. If you're not careful, you can spend your energy trying to respond to the voices around you, trying to please people or trying to prove yourself. But here's the key. You weren't created to get caught up in the noise. You were created to rise above it. Jesus is the perfect example of this. Throughout his ministry, he was constantly surrounded by noise. The Pharisees tried to trap him with their questions. The crowds had their own expectations of who he should be. His own disciples sometimes misunderstood him. Yet Jesus never allowed the noise to distract him from his purpose. He didn't waste time arguing with critics. He didn't adjust his mission to fit people's opinions. He stayed focused on what he was called to do. When Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his enemies tried to discourage him with insults and lies. They sent letters, spread rumors, and did everything they could to stop his progress. But Nehemiah refused to come down from his work. He simply responded, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. Nehemiah 6:03. He didn't argue, he didn't explain himself. He just kept building. Because he stayed focused, he completed the walls in record time. That's what happens when you rise above the noise. The enemy knows he can't stop what God has planned for you, so he'll try to distract you instead. He'll send critics, drama, and unnecessary battles to pull you off course. But you don't have to respond to every voice. You don't have to defend yourself against every opinion. Some things are meant to be ignored. The more you focus on the noise, the less energy you have for your purpose. But when you rise above it, you stay in peace and move forward with strength. Think about an eagle. When storms come, most birds seek shelter. But an eagle does something different. It rises above the storm. It soars higher until it reaches the calm, open skies where the storm can't touch it. That's the mindset you need to have. Don't get caught up in the whirlwind of negativity, gossip, and criticism. Let it go and rise higher. Stay focused on your purpose. Stay faithful to what God has called you to do. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will doubt you. Some will have their opinions about your life. That's okay. You don't have to fight every battle or address every rumor. Instead, do what Nehemiah did. Keep building, keep growing, keep walking in purpose. Let your success, your peace, and your unwavering faith be the response. So the next time the noise gets loud, take a deep breath and remind yourself, I don't have to come down to their level. I was created to rise above. Keep your eyes on God, keep your heart at peace, and keep moving forward. Because when you rise above the noise, nothing can stop you from reaching your destiny. Life is full of distractions. Every day, something is trying to pull you off course. Negative people, unnecessary drama, criticism, or even your own doubts and fears. If you're not careful, you can waste precious time and energy fighting battles that don't matter, trying to please people who will never be satisfied, or worrying about things that are out of your control. But here's the key. Your purpose is too important to let distractions steal your focus. Jesus showed us what it means to stay focused. From the moment he began his ministry, he knew exactly why he was here. The Pharisees tried to trap him with their questions, but he didn't engage in pointless arguments. The crowds wanted him to be a political leader, but he stayed true to his calling. Even when he was falsely accused, he didn't waste time defending himself. He knew that his mission was greater than the opinions of others. Instead of getting caught up in distractions, he stayed focused on the work his Father sent him to do. When Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his enemies tried everything to stop him. They mocked him, criticized him, and even tried to trick him into coming down from the wall to debate with them. But Nehemiah refused to be distracted. He simply said, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. Nehemiah 6:03. That's the attitude we need to have when people try to pull you into drama, when critics try to discourage you, when distractions come your way. Remind yourself, I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down. The enemy knows he can't stop what God has planned for you, so he'll try to distract you instead. He'll send delays, disappointments, and even people to pull you away from your purpose. If he can't defeat you, he'll try to discourage you. If he can't destroy your destiny, he'll try to distract you from walking in it. That's why you have to stay focused. Don't let the noise around you make you forget the calling within you. Think about an athlete running a race. They don't stop to look around, argue with spectators, or worry about what others are saying. They keep their eyes on the finish line. They know that if they lose focus, they lose speed. The same is true for you. If you keep stopping to explain yourself, to respond to every critic, or to fight battles that don't matter, you'll slow down and miss out on what God has for you. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will support your vision. That's okay. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to stay faithful to what God has placed inside you. Keep building, keep growing, keep pressing forward. Let your success be the proof of your purpose. You don't have to announce every move you make. Just stay focused, and in time, the results will speak for themselves. So when distractions come, when negativity tries to pull you down, when doubt whispers in your ear, remind yourself, I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down. Stay focused, stay faithful, and watch how God takes you further than you ever imagined. Your purpose is too important to lose sight of now. At the end of the day, the distractions, the critics, the noise, they don't matter. What matters is that you stay faithful to the calling God has placed on your life. You weren't created to waste time proving yourself to people who will never understand your journey. You weren't designed to come down from your purpose just to fight battles that don't lead anywhere. You were made to rise higher, to keep building, to walk in the destiny that God has prepared for you. So the next time someone doubts you, stay silent and let your success speak. The next time negativity tries to pull you in, choose peace over proving a point. The next time distractions come knocking, stand firm and say, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. Because when you stay focused on your purpose, when you trust God more than human approval, when you let your actions speak louder than your words, nothing can stop what He has planned for your life. Keep going, keep believing, and keep rising. Your greatest victories are still ahead.